Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for joining me for this video and welcome to Terror by the Pines. I am your host, Jason. I am super duper excited about this video because I am taking you all to the cinema. That's right. As a movie buff myself of a particular genre, I am taking you all to the cinema through the art of tarot. And this hashtag called Tarot Through Movie Genres, I am taking you through horror, thriller, action, drama, and even a little bit of romance. So, folks, stick around and let's go to the cinema. Welcome to the movies, folks. So, this hashtag Tarot Through Movie Genres was created by Quinn over at Lucid Moons. Of course, I will put in their video in the description box below so you can check that out. It is 13 prompts. I will put the original list in the description. What I'm doing in this video is kind of mixing it up, so I'm going to be ranking the genres as we go along. So starting with the first one being my most favorite genre and working my way down. So I figured that would be a nice little treat for you folks. So number one, my favorite genre in Tarot Through Movie Genres is horror. And this is a deck that scares, frightens, or disturbs you. And the movie or franchise that I correlated to this genre is the Nightmare on Elm Street original OG films, Freddy Krueger, the Man of Your Dreams. So the Todd Alcott's Horror Tarot is new in my library. This is, folks, this is a wild and imaginative deck that has a lot going for it. The creator created multiple things in this deck. So for the major arcana, they are basically movie posters, which I absolutely love this. And then when you go into the minor arcana, each suit is going to be a different realm of media. The suit of wands is original paintings, and I am obsessed with this. And I like how the keywords for this particular suit is on each card. So if we go to number 8, we have some fantastic keywords or phrases. And then we go into cups. These are basically the book covers of novels. What I don't particularly like about the suit of cups is that there are no keywords. I feel like if you're going to have keywords on the wand, you might as well do it on the cups. But since it is like a horror novel, I guess I'll go with it. Then we go into the suit of swords, which is my absolutely favorite. And any tarot suit is the suit of swords. And this, because it reminds me of the Tales from the Crypt little comic books back in the heyday. And it also features some keywords. I really like that. And then going into the suit of pentacles, these are basically your movie monsters from the black and white era. So the next genre that I really enjoy, number 2, is animated film. And I chose 2 films with 1 deck. I have the Nightmare Before Christmas, of course, classique, and Hotel Transylvania. Love these 2 movies. So the deck I chose was Affirmator's Tarot. So the animated film genre is a deck with bright, expressive, or cartoon-like images that you probably would have enjoyed as a kid and still love as an adult. These are super colorful, so this was the deck of choice because of that. And it's just so damn cute. Like some of the really depressing cards, like the 3 of Swords, they have, even though it's painful, it's still darn cute with this imagery, which I really like. Bright, bold colors, and it's not as intimidating. Very cute. So here we have the Tower. It's scary, but there's still some type of personality or charm to it, which I really like. And the guidebook is very cheeky and very well written and down to earth. I really like that. So the next genre, we are going into the Western genre, which I kind of changed this up a little bit just to suit my own personal preference. I don't like Western movies, but when I read the description, which is a deck that embodies a spirit of freedom, exploration, and adventure, I kind of changed it into the adventure genre. And when it comes to that description of having a spirit of freedom, exploration, adventure, I chose the following movies: 47 Meters Down, which also the sequel to it is also pretty darn good. And then the third movie, which is probably my most viewed movie, is Fall. So in all of these movies, they basically, go out and have an adventure, but their freedom is basically taken away. And the deck I chose was Tarot of Oneness. This is an indie deck, and it's first person, which I really, really like. Great sense of going on an adventure and being in first person. We have Eight of Wands. So it has a mixture of animals and people, but it's all in that first person perspective. And of course, I think a lot of these decks that I'm going to show you, I have reviewed them, so I will definitely put those video reviews in the description box below so you can check those out. Just fantastic first-person perspectives. And it makes you think about that card in a whole new light. The next genre is Thriller, a deck that delivers tension, surprise, and or a sense of impending doom and keeps you at the edge of your seat. So this one was a little tricky because the whole, um, adventure and thriller, it could be intertwined. So I kind of went outside a little bit of a box here in terms of the deck that I've chosen, but the movie I think is spot on. One of my all-time favorite thrillers that I can't seem to find a Blu-ray copy of is The Net. This is one of my favorite Sandra Bullock movies. It is a classique. It is an icon. It is a legendary. I love this film. So for the deck I chose is another iconic deck in my collection is the Trick or Treat Tarot. Absolutely love this deck. When I pre-ordered it, of course, I didn't know any of the cards, and I really took a risk with this, but I turned out to really love this deck. I love the backs too. So when I think of a thriller in terms of like with the cards here, it is all based on Halloween night. And when it comes to Halloween night, you really don't know what you're expecting. I mean, you're expecting some spooky stuff, maybe some clever costumes, some kind of funny ones. But essentially, Halloween, you always have a thought that nothing good happens on Halloween, especially at night. But with this deck, I really, really like. It's just so cool. It reminds me of my own personal trick-or-treating days. It's just so nostalgic, and I just love how it just takes you into another realm or world on Halloween night. Everything happens on Halloween night in this deck, and the guidebook is absolutely fantastic. It is a Llewellyn deck, so I love their informative and kind of lengthy guidebooks, and full color, of course. The next genre that I like coming in at number 5 is comedy, a deck that is humorous, amusing, or induces laughter and or a sense of enjoyment. So one of my favorite comedies, and you can classify this movie in a variety of ways. You can do drama, you could do comedy, you can do romance too, but I essentially feel like this is a comedy in my book. Love this movie. I could watch it anytime and I would still enjoy it. When it comes to the deck that I chose was the Gourmet Tarot. This was recently added to my deck library. It is food-based. It is a indie deck, but I got it from Etsy and it was really fast shipping. It is a really fascinating deck to look at. I love like the anime card imagery, and if you're a big foodie that I am, I think you would like this. I do feel like it's not a beginner friendly deck, obviously, because it doesn't necessarily go by the RWS artwork. So the key to this deck is reading the guidebook. So I chose this deck for comedy is because it is amusing, right? You do have some sense of joy coming from this deck, especially with artwork like this. I mean, this is just too darn cute. So amusing. And I just love the art style for this deck. Coming in at number 6 is Documentary, a deck that depicts real-life people, animals, events, or situations that may be educational or informative. This one I had a difficult time for both movie and deck because I just don't have any documentaries in my movie collection. I did have one and I was trying to find it, but I guess I got rid of it. But I chose The Conjuring simply because it is based on the true files of the Warrens. Yeah, I kind of phoned this one in, folks. The deck I chose was Out of Hand Tarot. This is very similar to Tarot of Oneness, except while this is very first person perspective, it is more like daily activities that we do instead of basically exploring. So you're going to have lots of hands in this deck. And the art style, it's just vibrant, bold, and it's just very relatable because these are things, basically, they're in our daily lives. Activities that we do, the feelings, the emotions, you know, the society stuff. This is as real as it gets. So this is why I chose this deck for Documentary, because it depicts real life people, animals, and events. The next genre is Mystery. Number 7, a deck that is mysterious, suspenseful, and doesn't reveal answers right away. Reading with this deck may feel like solving a puzzle. So the movie I chose, which is my all-time favorite board game and mystery movie, is Clue. Love this film. Great cast. Love it. The deck I chose, which comes as kind of ironic, is the Dark Mansion Tarot. So in Clue, they are in a mansion, someone has been killed, and they have to figure out who killed them. So it's just very ironic that Dark Mansion was the first deck that came to mind. But this deck, it takes you into another world. It's very mysterious. It's very Tim Burton. And it's a deck that you can get lost in the images. Although you already have a sense of what that card means, your eyes basically go everywhere in the card, and you kind of like depict and choose things that you probably haven't seen there before. And it's every time I open or use this deck, it's basically I'm getting something new from the images that I haven't caught before. Coming in at number 8 is Action Genre. A deck that features loud, wild, and spectacular imagery that may be overwhelming, but you love it anyways. Folks, so when I think of action, I don't necessarily think of superhero, right? I don't think of movies like that. But what came to mind was the iconic Pirates of the Caribbean. Love the first film and even love the second film because it is just so damn good. The rest of the sequels, they just don't live up to the hype or live up to the standards that these first two have. The deck that I chose for this action genre is Tarot of the Vampires. This Llewellyn deck has more than meets the eye. This guidebook is essential when it comes to the images in these cards. The images, there's so much going on in them that you kind of like, damn, I really need to get the guidebook to fully understand what the artist was going for. What does it mean that there's blood dripping from this person's hand or etc. There's just so much going on in these wild, imaginative images that you just kind of want to pick the brain from the artist or creator. And to be honest, it's a damn smart deck. And the guidebook, as I said, is essential in order to fully understand this deck. The next genre coming at number 9 is Sci Fi, a deck that incorporates imaginative, speculative, and or futuristic concepts. So when I think of sci-fi, I automatically think space, right? I feel like that's probably the top two kind of things you correlate with sci-fi. So the movie that I recently watched not too long ago for the very first time, and I know it's been out for quite some time, is Gravity with Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. This movie was such a blast to watch. I know it's more so on the thriller or the adventure genre, but sci-fi, I automatically think space. But for the deck, tragically, unfortunately, I do not have like an alien spacey type of deck, but I do have more like a kind of mystical or I guess kind of imaginative deck is the Tarot of Curious Creatures. Now, this deck has human bodies but animal heads. And I know some people are not into that type of thing, but you kind of, have to put that aside and really dive into this world. If you are really drawn to this color palette that I am, it just really takes everything away in terms of like the people having animal heads. And the guidebook is very cute. It is by Chris Ann, who also did the Light Sears Tarot. I love her as a writer. She's really good at connecting with readers and connecting the tarot to um, basically bringing it down to earth and not making it so convoluted. And this imagery, while it may not be everyone's cup of tea, I kind of like it. I kind of dig it. And I like this whole fantasy world. Coming in at number 10 is Fantasy, a deck that transport you to an imaginary world with magic, mystical creatures, or elements of the supernatural that don't exist in the real world. Now, of course, Tarot of Curious Creatures could also fall into this category. However, I had another movie in mind, or another deck in mind. And the movie I chose for fantasy is Beetlejuice. Love this movie. I'm so excited for the sequel that's coming out in September. I have very high hopes, so fingers crossed it all works out. So for the deck that I chose is no surprise to you folks who have followed me through the years. It is the Everyday Witch Tarot. This is my grand dame. It is the OG deck in my deck library. It is so fantastical. It is very mystical. It transports you into a whole nother world. It is filled with magic. There's some mystical creatures here and about. And I guess it kind of does have some supernatural aspects going for it. This is definitely a quote-unquote Harry Potter deck for me because it does have that sense of, I don't know, it's just very magical, mystical, fantastical, all of those things. It's just, love this deck so much. And it's so easy to read, easy to pick up. And the guidebook, it's a Llewellyn production. So, of course, I'm going to be a little biased. Full color. I love Deborah Blake as a writer. It is just a phenomenal deck and guidebook. Coming in at number 11 is Drama, a deck that focuses on conflicts and characters' lives that takes a more serious tone. This one, drama to me, am I the drama? I'm not a big fan of drama movies because it is so real life-like. I kind of want to get out of my world into another world. But when it comes to this genre, the one movie that really sticks out, and you can interpret it a couple different ways, is The Breakfast Club. You can kind of classify it as a comedy, but I feel like with this movie, it's more drama like. It really touches on some, serious tones that happen in real life. The deck that I chose to go along with this, simply because it is so expressive, is the Light Seers Tarot, also by Chris Ann. This is a deck that does not pull any punches. It is very expressive, and it really dives deep into some of those really depressing cards, like the Ten of Swords, the Three of Swords, the Five of Pentacles. It does not hold back in terms of expressing itself when it comes to those difficult cards. And when it have cards like this, they're super sweet, very cute and fuzzy, but when it gets to those really hard breaking cards, it does not hold back. And that's what I feel like a drama movie encapsulates. It's going to have those funny moments, but most of the time, it's going to give you the hard stuff. It's going to tell you the truth, and it's not going to hold back. The next genre, coming at number 12, is romance, a deck that focuses on relationships or romantic love between people with an overall emotionally satisfying or optimistic tone. So romance is not a big genre of mine, of course, since it's down below all of these. But one of my all-time favorite romance movies is the classique You've Got Mail with Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan. This was a movie that is just so damn good. It's so current even today with sending emails and stuff. It's just a phenomenal movie if you have not watched it. The deck that I chose for this romance theme is the Golden Girls. This is a deck that I just feel has a romantic vibe. When you think of the Golden Girls, you think of their love for each other, their hatred for sometimes they get on people their nerves, but in all, they really have one thing in common, that they all love each other. And it doesn't have to be romantic, right? It doesn't have to be someone that you're gonna get married to. It could be those friendships that you hold close and dear, and that's how I feel about the Golden Girls. I could watch this show every day for the rest of my life. I actually go to sleep watching this show every night. So, yeah, I love the Golden Girls. All right, coming in at number 13, the final genre is black and white film. Your favorite black and white deck or a vintage deck from another era. So, this one was kind of easy because I do not have a black and white deck per se. And yeah, it was just a little challenging. And for the movie, I thought of a movie that has been around many, 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 many years that I have in my media library that kind of has been an inspiration to all the films that have come after it. And I'm talking about the horror genre, folks. This is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre back in 1974. This movie has inspired many, many horror films since then. And the deck that I chose, it is the vintage deck. It is the Smith-Waite Centennial Edition. I like this edition because it has that coffee stained look. I really dislike the atrocious original palette that's very bright and it's just, ugh, it just does not appeal to me. But this coffee vintage look, it suits me. I really like this, even though I kind of don't like this old, stuffy, traditional artwork. I understand that this is where it started from all of these tarot decks that have come after. So it kind of correlates with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the horror film genre. So this deck, of course, it's the OG. It's the traditional artwork. Nothing's really changed except for this muted coffee stained palette that it just seems so vintage and used, but gently used. You know what I mean? Like, I just love this kind of um palette. Well, it has come to the end of the video, folks, so big shout out to Quinn for creating this lovely hashtag. They did a phenomenal job with the prompts, and even though I added or modified one of the prompts, I hope they do not mind. This was a super duper fun tag to basically have an excuse to talk about all of our favorite movies and tarot decks. What's not to love? So let me know in the comments below if you have any experience with these decks or even films, as I would love to hear about it. I hope you enjoyed my participation in this hashtag, and I hope to see you all very soon in another video. I hope you are all doing well. Take care, be safe, and I will see you for my next video. Take care.